Thank you guys for joining us for our weekly Crown of the God stream. We haven't done one in 2 weeks because we kind of took 2 Sundays off for the holidays. But now we were back and streaming again. The server is officially done. Um, we're up for the final week just to kind of leave it around for people to play with. We've implemented some new stuff and also had some competitions on who could break the server, uh, which was done twice. So good job everybody who participated in that. I think last one we had somewhere around 51,000 attacks, all hitting in the same 3 second period, as well as you know I didn't even count how many reinforcements there were, but I would um, gather there was probably a couple thousand reinforcements in different places. We did open up portals for the entire week long, so portals have just stayed in a constant state of open, and we also gave people instant troops to allow them to get the attacks up and going without having to pay for them, and we also turned starvation off in order to get as many attacks out there as possible. Um, the data we collected was pretty much invaluable um, as to things that went wrong and where the bottlenecks were. It's funny. We went out trying to test the attack script, and the thing that we were looking to test, worked great. But it was the servers that couldn't keep up with the amount of data that was coming back and forth with the 50,000 plus attacks. Um, just there, no matter how many
Yeah.
servers I created,
The database itself held up great, didn't it?
oh yeah, the database and the our Mongo database and the actual script all held out perfectly. The thing that was the big cause and caused all the disconnects was the amount of data coming in and out. Just could not keep up with the bandwidth. At one point, I had 35 10 GB servers on the game for players to log into, and it still could not keep up with the amount of bandwidth that was going back and forth. Um, and mostly that's like attacks updating and people opening and shutting the incoming and outgoing windows with 50,000 attacks in them. It was trying to load all 50,000 attacks, which was just so much data that every time somebody tried to open it, it would
Uh-oh.
crash all of the servers at the same time. Um, so it kind of gave us the final piece after we got the database under control and everything else for the actual processing under control. Um, the last piece is the actual you know controlling the bandwidth of the servers when people are under attack to prevent the disconnects, which is kind of what I've been working on for the most part of today. So putting in kind of like a paging system, like what I've done for reports, where you get the first 100, then when you scroll to the bottom, it loads the next 100 and the next 100. Um, and so we're going to kind of do that with incoming and outgoing, and kind of make it the same where if you open it up and click Show My Cities, um, it'll do the same where it will only show your cities, but then it will page down so you can see only your cities going forward. Um, so it should actually make it better for people who wanted to keep the checkboxes and the continent stuff there in between loads, because currently I think if you have this checked and you change the continent and then you open it again, it gets rid of the checkboxes and resets everything. So this way it'll stay the same. So stuff like that's going to stop the servers from trying to download all of the data at once and kind of overload everything all the time. Figure everybody's on kind of a gamecation, I think is the term I've seen thrown around,
Yeah.
where they're kind of taking a couple weeks off until we go into open um, beta, which is understandable. This competition can be pretty intense, especially at the 2 times speed, which really was not 2 times speed at all, but with the dungeons the way they were, it was more, probably like 4 to 8 times speed. Um, so I think everybody will enjoy going back to a slower paced server where you don't have to be on as much. And, it's slower in the start but it gets to be too much when you have 200 cities and you're moving that fast. So, slowness in the start kind of, and we still have to talk about whether or not we're going to double building speed and resource production during new player protection, which I think is a great idea to help with retention for new players, because the game is so slow when you start out.
Yeah.
So, if we made it a little bit snappier um, to get started for those first couple days, and then kind of slowed it down after, people had their second cities or so, um, I think it would make a big difference on the amount of people who continue playing, because I'd imagine you lose a good bit of new players within the first, you know, 2 hours of them playing. Um,
Yeah.
kind of get bored sitting around waiting for one building to build, and not realizing that there's a lot more to the game when you've got 50 to 100 cities and you're having to switch in between them to make sure everything's building and placing things and sending out attacks and raids and things like that. Um, so speeding up the initial city build, I don't think would mess up the speed of the server too much, but it would also kind of keep people more engaged in the beginning.
Yeah. I think Continent 22 will fill up a little bit faster, maybe, than normal, and that's about it.
Um, well, kind of, because once you get that, you can't castle under new player protection either. So in order to get the third free city, you'd have to castle and lose your new player protection. And also, I think at 7 days, I think is new player protection. Um, After
Yeah.
that 7 days, you wouldn't you wouldn't have more than two cities. I think. I'm trying to think about what everybody did this server and how fast people had multiple cities. And I don't think within the first week people had more than one or two. Um, and back to the attacks, we kind of created an impossible scenario that will never really happen in the game. But if we, program to be able to handle that kind of load and size, um, it should make everything else easy to process. So if we can, make it so that it can handle 50,000 attacks, then when there's 5,000 attacks, it should do it with absolutely no issues at all. But that's kind of something I'm going to be working on while the servers are down, is minimizing the normalized data output in between the server and the player, um, kind of putting more onto the front end, so that they kind of mimic each other in parallel without having to constantly send the data back and forth. Um, and a lot of stuff that I don't see because I've only got, 10 cities or something like that. Um, stuff like sending the players city data in the polls is a large amount of data going back and forth for somebody who's got 900 cities. So, stuff like that we don't need to send back and forth all the time. So, cutting out the little things like that, and just sending them when it's applicable, um, should make the server a lot faster and better for everyone. And also make it so it can handle bigger attacks, especially if we do a paging system on the actual incoming and outgoing list. And a lot of that we fixed too on the when we consolidated the incomings. Um, for somebody like, I think it was Indy that had the 51, or like, I think she had 38,000 attacks just on one city. To look at that without the summary, it would have taken up 30 pages of data. I don't think the browser could have even held that much data. So by summarizing it and putting the summary on there, I think that really makes a difference for something that's that large. Um, but the menus and surprisingly the regional map are two things I need to get under control for the amount of data that goes back and forth. Um, we are tentatively planning for the 23rd, I think, of January for the open beta. That's not set in stone yet, but that's a pretty reasonable expectation for us to be ready for. We've kind of been doing a lot of things on the back end to prepare for it. Um, things like making a queuing system for people logging into a server for the first time, so it doesn't completely crash and lag up. So, when everybody does that initial rush for a new server opening, we're going to kind of put people in a queue, so your spot gets held in what order you open up on the server. Um, but it'll just kind of more slowly process everyone instead of just trying to process, 1,000, 200, 1,000, 500 people all at the same exact second trying to get in. It's just too much for pretty much any system to handle. So by creating a queuing system, it should make it so that there's zero lag for everybody who's in the server, and it's actually going to allow people to play faster, getting queued up than they would if they had to sit there and wait 30 minutes for the things to get normalized.
Yeah.
Um, so that's something that we're working on for the open. We're also putting in the new player protection. We'll have the protection items on there. We already did put in the city zoom, which I think works really, really well.
It's wonderful. There's not even lag to it. It's beautiful.
And it kind of zooms in and out depending on where your mouse is.
Mm.
Yeah, it scrolls well. It's nice and fast. So I'm happy I finally got that together. It was actually surprisingly easier than I expected it to be. Um, so glad that was something we finally got done.
Yeah.
Hello.
Yay, there she is.
Hey, sorry I was having net problems.
Damn third world countries.
I know.
We were just talking about Zoom. I had already talked
Yay.
about, kind of how what we were trying to test with the large attacks was the ability of the servers and database to process the attacks, which all handled it very well, except the amount of data going back and forth between the servers we just couldn't handle. And that's why there were so many disconnects and things.
Yep.
So we don't even know how fast those attacks actually processed.
Yeah.
Because there's nobody who could get onto the servers because there was so much data and everything.
Yeah. So, well, hey, we can do it again sometime.
Yeah, and it was a kind of forced, unnatural test of the servers, but it gave us the places to look for things, and things that we would have never thought of, like the icons on the regional map, which were just completely bogging down the amount of data pool.
Yeah, who would have thought it?
But those are things that are easy fixed, and the same as like the incoming and outgoings not being able to show. I'm going to kind of make them the same as reports, where if you scroll down, you kind of get the next. I think I'll probably do them in chunks of 500 or something. So you'll get the next 500 when you scroll down.
Yeah, sounds good.
Which should make it, able for everybody to see an unlimited amount of attacks, and also not strain the server by trying to get them all at the exact same moment.
Yeah. It's also probably easier for people to navigate through that way.
Yeah, and especially if I make the the sorting sticky, so
like how it is now in reports. Oh, sorry, no. What? Yeah, the columns.
Yeah, like select your own city and stuff.
Yeah.
If I make those kind of sticky, then people can just scroll down their own cities, or just see their own cities every time they click on them. They don't have to see all of the other stuff if that's all they're concerned about.
Yeah.
I don't think I'm going to need to do that for
Sounds
enlightenments because nobody ever gets 50,000 enlightenments at the same time. Blessings.
Blessings.
But incoming and outgoing are the two that I'll have to do that with. It shouldn't be too hard since I already have a system kind of in place for it.
Sweet. Yeah.
And then I was talking about the Zoom. We also did a lot of stuff with kind of like the panes of browser development. So we're caching stuff differently, as well as we've kind of consolidated a lot of our scripts that were there for development. We're going to consolidate into one script so that there's less to download. Um, and since we're not planning on, an extensive amount of maintenances throughout the open betas, we're going to let people cache the JavaScript so they don't have to actually download it every time, which should make logins considerably faster. If anybody's ever played other games and it says, loading for the first time, this might take longer, the next time will be faster, kind of thing.
Yeah.
It'll kind of be the same thing. The first time you load it, it'll be a little slower, but then after that, it'll get faster and faster because you've already downloaded a lot of the information.
Yep.
So that seems to be working well. I'm getting in pretty quickly doing that. Let me see what the portals look like.
Yeah, a couple of other people have mentioned that they're a little bit hard to see on the
On Region
content.
View. Yeah.
Yeah. And that was because of that grayscale thing, right?
Yeah, I thought I had put in the non-grayscale ones, didn't I?
I think they were always non-grayscale. It's just that the blue in the middle isn't very bright. So,
No, they actually just got completely grayscale.
oh, weird.
Mine tips to reduce the size of the graphics. See if I can find one here on World Map.
Gordon can't find the portal.
Oh, probably need to. I do have them turned on. There we go. There's a portal. Oh yeah, the blue one's there. But I guess it's not as noticeable. I also made them considerably bigger than the inactive portals. Like if you see the size of the inactive right here on my screen, it's kind of smaller, whereas the active ones are, a bit bigger and also colored. I don't know how to make them stand out more.
I think the blue in the middle needs to be brighter. Well, anyway, we can look at it.
But I'd say the best way to find portals is through the world map like I just did. It's going to be a lot faster than scanning around regional map form.
Yep.
They kind of stand out better.
The same with everything, I suppose. Like it's easier to find it on World Map than to scroll around.
Yeah, and what I would do is I would, turn on for other players, and then I'd turn it off for cities without temples. That was just what I would do. And you'd be able to see, where the active temples are around portals, and those are what I would choose as my targets. Yeah, maybe we could use like one of the enlighten or the blessing effects or something and put it around the portal. Would make it easier to see.
Okay, well, we can have a look.
Or we could get one and just make it the same color blue.
Yeah.
So we could do something like that.
Yeah. Well, take a look at it.
As far as the other stuff that we're doing for the to prepare for the open betas, I think I covered adding in a queue system for the initial world logins.
Oh yeah, that'll be important.
And then also I talked about new player protection, and we kind of talked about before whether or not we were going to add like double the building speed and stuff like that during new player protection to help with retention of new players logging in for the first time. just because it's so slow in the very beginning.
Maybe.
So, more or less keeping it double speed until somebody actually, or until you lose that new player protection one way or another, and then it becoming normal speed.
Maybe it's something we could have a poll on and see what people think about it,
Yeah,
and see what everybody thinks of it. I'm not sure about that.
yeah. I'm not sure it would upset the, kind of the speed of the game, because it's only the first week, and might give people, an extra week head start or something like that. But
Yeah.
I guess the fun part of the game is how slow it is at the very beginning and trying to like attack people with um, 10,000 troops, which is enough to dominate a continent at any given time. In
I
the
also
first
think
3
that
days.
people kind of like how slow it is at the start, and that it doesn't require very much sort of contact hours at the start. That it's just kind of like a real time building game, basically.
Yeah,
So
maybe we'll make a
that's
poll on it, or maybe we'll
yeah.
see how
We'll
it
see what people
works
think.
at regular speed in the lives, then change it later down the road or something.
Yeah, maybe something we add later.
And I did see people talking about having like training servers and stuff. Um, I was actually thinking about it the other day. It wouldn't be a bad idea to develop some sort of interactive. Like, have you ever played a first-person shooter game or like an Xbox game? And when you first go to play it, the first thing they do is they kind of put you in like this training kind of simulator where it walks you through every aspect of, well, not every aspect, but all the basics of the game, and you're like doing a simulation mission that isn't really long or real, but it gives you, tells you all the controls and stuff like that.
Yeah,
Um, you know, Maybe down the road we make something where it's, kind of more comprehensive than our tutorial is now. But it's like its own little individual kind of servers where people can go on and build their first city, um, and then just kind of learn how things work and where things go in a easy way without getting attacked, and then they can join a live server.
yeah,
And maybe that's the one we speed up because that's where a new player would actually begin.
yeah, yeah. We could do that.
Trying to think about what else we put in the other day because there was another big thing we put in besides Resume. That was the game options with the grids.
Oh yeah, the new city select icon.
The new city select icon.
The circle.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
The Halo.
I think it turned out well.
Yeah, I think so.
I like it.
Other than that, it's been just a lot of
But
back-end
I don't
stuff.
know if this has anything.
What's up?
I don't know if this has anything to do with the grid or the Halo, but a couple of people have gotten the 3x3 temple cursor thing when trying to put buildings down.
Oh, I think
Okay.
I had fixed that the other day, but I don't think I put it on the live servers yet. So I had fixed that because I had noticed that
Yeah.
on the development server, and so it was stuff like it was sticking on the. It wasn't removing the building selector when you clicked on a temple and stuff like that. So I had gone through and fixed all those, so it should be working good for the live rounds. Um, Continent openings are a bit different, and I'm not going to tell people too much about how they open because half the fun is in the surprise, but they will be opening in a different way. Um, so it'll be, you can't tell everybody everything or else they kind of lose the fun in discovering it themselves.
Yeah.
We changed how the shrines were going to open, which is all detailed on the pages that Lisa was kind enough to make.
Yes, the Ashendalian archives.
which have a lot of information on gameplay and stuff like that, for anybody interested in the actual math and mechanics and stuff behind things.
A lot more information than other games had on their website.
Yeah. Eventually, it's going to turn into like a full volume kind of Wikipedia as things, go on. I mean, there's already a lot there, but I think
Yeah,
you plan on
got a few
continuing
more.
to add to stuff all the time.
Yeah, I keep thinking of new pages that I have to still add to it. I have a whole little list. So combat is next to go into it.
So I'm not sure if anybody has any questions or anything. I think most people are kind of just ready for this to close down and get a break and then open up again.
Yeah, we have 2 days left until the end of third beta.
Yep. Uh,
End of an era.
it's been a fun couple months. A lot of work, and I think the game's come a long way in those couple months.
Yeah, it has.
Um, and I think that we're certainly ready for the opens and for everybody to get some fresh blood in, because I know that there's a lot of players out there waiting to get in, that found the game after the third beta had started, or didn't have a key, or so I know there's a good bit of there's going to be a good bit of new players coming in. Should make things more interesting. I think old players were waiting for things to go live too, so I think some alliances will show up with bigger reinforcements than they've had in this one. It'll be more
Yes, I think
of
so.
a competitive server. This one was pretty competitive,
It really was, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
and
Quite,
the difference in
quite nail
crowning.
biting sometimes.
Yeah, the difference in crowning was not too big between number 1 and number 3. I think it was 3 weeks or something like that,
Yeah.
which isn't really bad at all.
Yeah,
No, not bad at
there
all.
was some pretty vicious fights there between Organized Chaos and Lollipops.
Yeah. Um,
Yep.
I did have a thought the other day about how we're going to shut down servers after third place crowns. I almost think we need to put a fail safe in there too, to if number 1 crowns and then number 2 crowns and then there's like nobody left on the server who's actually like playing or trying to crown or anything like that. Probably need to put something in where 4 months after first place crown, we shut a server down or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I do want to prevent having perpetual servers that are just sitting around with 2 people playing them. Because it kind
Yeah.
of I'd
I
rather
agree.
put the resources into new servers with lots of active players, instead of ones that aren't achieving it. So maybe we write something that actually checks if anybody's close to like a third place crown or close to a second place crown, or then after 2 months after first or 2 months after second, I send out like a warning mail saying the server will close down in a month if nobody's crowned.
Yep, sounds good. Yeah, so maybe like 6 months or something after your first crown.
Just so it I don't see it happening, because I suspect that if people are abandoning it, then somebody's going to step up and eventually get it done in a month or 2.
ISIS is talking about that forum thread.
Which one?
The one about if you come late to a server, catch up bonuses.
Yeah, so Davidkoff was the one who started it. He was talking about how, like if you start a server late, that you get like a certain. He was talking about construction speed bonuses for a certain amount of days.
Yeah,
After you join, so that you can.
700% and 600%. That's more than a full set of research gives. So that's pretty awfully steep, isn't it?
The thing about latecomers on a server is that it would never be necessary really to start so late on a server that you would be so far behind, because there will always be new servers that newcomers can join.
Right.
So I don't see that it would be necessary to give them, like a latecomers bonus, because they could just start somewhere else that it wouldn't be necessary.
And actually, I think that hurts new players more than helps them. And here, I'll give you guys the logic on it. When I first started playing other games, you get on and you join a server, and you have really no idea what you're doing, and you fiddle around on that server for like 2 weeks, a month. Maybe join a small alliance, kind of figure everything out, see how everything's working, and then for the most part, you stop that server and you go and you play as a new one opens up, and you've gotten some kind of little bits of training by playing an older server that's not open. So um, if you're thinking about people that are new players that don't know how to play the game, coming on and a month late, it's actually to their benefit that they build slower because they're understanding the game, learning the game, and then they're most likely going to quit and join when a new server opens up anyways. Uh, but already having that base of knowing how the game works, and that's at least how I started playing. Pretty much every game that I've ever played is you join a server and then you kind of learn how things are going. You see if you like the game, and if you do, you wait for the next one to open up or a new round to start, and then you can jump in on it.
And start playing that on hardcore.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
Yep. I
Yeah.
quite agree.
if in a short-sighted kind of way, I can see how that would be beneficial for maybe the live round where we only have one server open. But once the game starts going full steam and we're opening up servers every 2-3 weeks, um, it's not really going to be necessary to give people advantages on to when they come in late. And I also think that that might actually give way to a different strategy where people purposely start servers the day when those bonuses kind of kick in to get that faster build up, and it'd be a very fine balance to make sure the build up was not enough that they couldn't get a bigger advantage by starting late than people who started when it opened had.
And not only that, if you give them higher construction speed, then they're accumulating resources at a rate that they're not gonna be able to use it anyway.
Yeah.
So if you have construction speed and don't have resources, the construction speed is useless.
Yep, so you'd have to double up the resources. And yes, we do plan on the forums getting revamped. It's not the top of the priorities, but it is something I plan on digging into, and that'll probably be one of
We'll
those
probably get it
things.
done during open beta, I'd say, if not before.
Yep.
Homer Paul has a question. He says, in raiding, you can send up to 15 at the same dungeon at the same time using the drop-down bar in the attack menu. Can this be done for attacks too? Well, the thing with attacks is that you would only really ever be sending one. I don't think you'd ever be sending 15 attacks at the same place at the same time.
Fakes.
In fact,
Yeah, but it wouldn't. Why would you send 15 fakes from the same castle
to the same place.
to the same place?
Yeah.
If you're gonna
It's in,
send fakes, you're gonna. I mean, I guess if you're
it was a Navy tactic I used.
But they would still be to different destinations. Like you're sending them from the same castle, but you're sending them to 15 different castles.
Right.
right.
So you would never be using it times 15.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just don't. If that's your strategy to fake by sending from the same castle to another castle 15 times, yeah, it's going to be something that people do manually. Because if we do it where, it kind of splits up, it's going to confuse people for the most part, and they're going to think that's supposed to be done that way. So, I mean, for raids, it's one thing because you're purposely sending one place, but very few people would send 15 fakes from one castle to the same target. And if you were sending a real attack, you would want it all in one big attack because you'd get better attack bonuses for one big attack than you would from 15 smaller attacks of the same size troops.
And not only that, I doubt that it's going to take very long for somebody to come up with a nice attack script.
And we will have the we have plans on getting the script market up during the open beta, so those scripts might start coming available to everybody at the same time. So that is something we have in the plans, and I think it'll be nice for everyone to you know, have a chance of getting the scripts that people are writing for it, because I'm sure there's people out there writing scripts at the moment.
Homer Paul says, "Great going breaking the server. It was brilliant."
I hope people had fun doing it too. I mean, it sucks that the server went down, but I think that was kind of the point.
It was.
So, you know, anybody who got upset about it, we were purposely trying to do that. And we only did it at a point where, you know, the game was going to shut down anyways and nobody else was going to win, and, you know, not all that much damage could be done to anyone because it didn't really matter.
Plus, it gave something for everybody to do with their troops in the server.
Not only troops, but you spend all these months building up castles and temples and stuff, and then, you know, at the end everybody gets to smash them.
Right.
Anger management.
So I think it was fun for people to have the instant troops and planning out that many attacks.
Yeah, I think so. What was it? 49,000 overall.
I'm gonna hit Homer Paul's 100 million CGs with 3 trillion catapults, just because he asked me to. Because nobody in their right mind would ever build 100 million CGs, nor would it be possible. I think even with a fully built out city guard castle, it would probably take you 10 years to build 100 million. So that's why it's capped at 100 million. I'm gonna have to find which city of his has those 100 million in there and hit them. I've got a new challenge for today. If I would have been prepared, I could
How
have done
many
the
cities
live on
does
the
he
air.
have?
I don't know. How many does he have?
I don't know. How many cities you got, Homer Paul?
145.
Oh, that's not as bad as it could have been.
Oh, he has 2 castles with 100 million.
Oh, geez.
Well, if he wants to give us chords, I can certainly help.
He's probably giggling because you're trying to find.
So what else are we putting in that we don't have in currently? I think abandoning cities. I might test that tomorrow actually. Like write a script and put it in, and then see how it works.
Yeah, cities abandoning for new inactive players
Yes.
after they've been inactive for a certain time.
Yeah. Did you mention the daily reward? Did you mention the daily login reward needing to be added?
Oh no. We need to probably add that too.
Yeah.
Yes, we do. And the Hand of the Gods item is the final item to go in.
Yeah, I did bring that one up.
Is that the Chancellor package? No, that's like the non-attack
orb.
one, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we also need to get the Counselor item packages in.
Oh yeah,
That'll be important.
and the warnings when they're going to expire,
Yes.
There's coordinates, Gordy.
and the
Auto renew.
yeah, auto renew.
Yeah. And a message for when they're about to run out.
Also, if you remember from other games, up until you hit a certain title, your build counselor in the build section of your defense counselor didn't work. We need to get that in.
Yeah.
Um, the title, it was around 3 cities.
I think it was
Yeah,
5 cities.
No,
It's
I think
actually
it was 3.
it was the title. It was
Marcus.
yeah. What I don't know what that translates to on ours.
Um, Equite, I think,
Yes. So
Yeah.
or Commander, one of them.
uh,
Either Equite or Commander.
yeah, you still get the quick build. No, you don't get the quick build. You get the. Do the actual
Wait,
counselors work?
the War Counselor and Trade Counselor work, but yeah, and the enlistment part of the Defense Counselor works, but the Build Counselor doesn't, and um, the like build part of the Defense Counselor doesn't.
Yeah.
Um,
For walls and posts.
Well, I think with Build Counselor, the keep build queue order tick box does work. You can still use that, but you can't use the auto upgrade.
and what's the reason for that?
I guess so that new players, when they first log in, they can't just automate everything and leave for 3 days, because we were trying to hook new players
Okay, makes
and
sense.
get them to log back in. Yeah.
That makes sense. Um, can we also hide Homer Paul's chat for new players too?
If we're going to hide people's chats, I can think of some better people. What else have I got? Oh yeah, that unit kills in ranking are still done by unit. They need to be done by troop strength,
Okay.
and some little fixes on around region view.
And we need to finish the report format. Remember, you were going to make the skinny numbers and.
Oh yeah, yeah. I have so much to do with reports, so the little pictures are everywhere at the moment.
Yep.
Yes.
So fixing that. I need to fix the.
I got a lot of UI to put in as well that Sergio gave us. So
Oh yeah. Like some of the menu stuff.
yep, backgrounds and things.
I don't think there's a reward for guards, is there?
Um,
For like number?
But there is a number of carts and a number of ships.
yeah, but not that high.
Okay.
I don't think.
Oh, sorry, city guards. I thought you said carts.
No.
City guards.
Guards. I don't think there is one.
I think there is, but it doesn't go up very high.
Oh, there it is. Yeah, there is.
And army size.
Oh, does it count as army size?
It might.
It should.
I thought only movable troops counted at that.
I'd say you have maxed at Homer, yes.
Yeah.
Let me see, can I find how high it goes?
Hmm.
Yes, there are considerably more bosses.
Yes.
I
Yes,
never
guards go up. Guard rewards go up to 6 million. So no, you would have maxed that already, Homer.
I never
About 90 million guards ago.
looked at this boss hits. I guess this would be close to the final number of hits. Somebody hit 3,608 bosses throughout the course of this server.
Yeah. That's a lot of bosses on that boss rank page for only a few months.
So I guess if we went through and calculated this all, we could get the total number of bosses that were hit during the server, but it's a good bit.
I guess it probably would be higher for, this is a 3 month server, so a 6 or 9 month server, it will be a bit higher because people just have more time to send out boss hits. But it's a fairly considerable start.
Hmm. We do have a tentative date.
Homer Paul asking. Yeah, we said it actually in the server mail. We're aiming at the moment for the 23rd of
Yeah,
January.
people don't read those mails.
So so 20 days from now, it's the third today. So mails to all of our registered members to remind them and let them know. I think we were saying we were going to send one out 2 weeks in advance and one 3 days in advance.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, that long.
We still have stuff to do, unfortunately.
Yes, we do. And we get a lot more done when there's some of the stuff I can't actually do while people are still on the servers without completely changing things.
Poor Homer.
um how about this? Let's take a picture of his cities for him and send it to him, and he can full screen them on his computer and click around and do stuff, um, or pretend like he's doing stuff for 2 weeks. Oh, um, I don't speak Greek.
I think she's asking, are there more caverns and bosses than
Yeah,
there were in other games?
yeah.
There
Yes.
are, I think, about the same. Oh, really?
No, there's more.
More. Okay.
That's why I
Bosses,
was showing the
yes.
boss menu. But
Yeah.
apparently she didn't understand my English, or he.
It's
She.
because you
She.
speak American, Gordy.
It's the best English there is.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Correct pronunciations. Like, um, what else do we have that's gonna be new in the lives? I
um,
think that's it. I
I
think
think we
we've got
covered
most
most.
everything in there. I got friends list in there. I think there's some issues with them doubling up, and I think it's not even doubling up. I think what happens is that the notifications get put in there, and then it's not. It's just grabbing all of the notifications since the last time you got notifications, which turns out to be 10 or 15 times. Somebody kept restarting. Yeah, Alliance Form should be there. If not, it's going to be there early on in the beta. Um, but I do plan on redoing kind of the whole system and putting the HTML compatible stuff in there, like we have on the other places, and just generally fixing them.
Yeah, making them work a little better.
Yep. So it's planned, but not guaranteed that it'll be there by the start. But it'll definitely be there within the first month or so of the open beta.
Reset history in player info needs to go into.
Oh, yeah, we need
Yeah,
to decide if we'll have that or not.
yeah, we still haven't decided that one yet.
What was the other one? Oh, yeah, the load and unload time for raiding.
Will be an
Yes.
hour.
Yeah, so we need to change that. So it's going to be much longer than it is now.
Yeah, it will be an hour, and there probably won't be as many dungeons because I did kind of overload this one with dungeons,
Caverns.
caverns. Yes. I don't think that's how it works. Homer Paul, to answer his question. Yeah, I think we've got way too many caverns on the server. So
Yeah, we do.
it'll probably be
But we had so many troops that I guess it was necessary.
yeah, it'll probably be half of what there is now.
Yeah.
Um, so generally, it's going to be a slower server, which is the way it's supposed to be. I think a
Yeah.
lot of people If we kept it at this speed, would get completely burnt out. I know initially we were talking about how great it would be to have, servers that were 2 times or 3 times, but it's just so much work when you've got that many cities and everything's moving that fast. Um,
Yeah.
and this game's kind of meant for people who have, you know, other things to do.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. You become really apathetic about new cities.
Hmm.
Yep.
Yeah, especially when people are hitting the cap, which isn't supposed to be a cap, but I never figured anybody would ever get that high um, on a regular server. Um, mostly because by the time people get that high, it was, when servers had been open so long, and
Yeah.
people were just kind of messing around with them.
Yeah, some people have a life on their Paul.
Uh, well, that's actually the nice thing about this game is that
You can.
you can spend 24 hours a day on it and still have stuff to do, or you can spend a minimal time on it and still, you know,
Manage. Yeah.
manage the game and everything. It kind of works both ways where you can, you know, do all or little and still kind of get good results.
Yeah. You can still be really competitive with just, an hour or two a day.
Hmm. Especially with substitutions and things like that,
Yeah.
Um, I would like to eventually put in the, where an alliance leader can maybe notify um, one of their players. Maybe make it like an option where, allow my alliance leader to notify me if I'm under attack or something. So it could send them like an email or something like that for people who haven't set substitute but are under attack.
Yeah.
Which might be a nice feature because I know a lot of people, you know, aren't on all the time or able to know when something happens, but get email alerts on their phone. Maybe even something where you could do a reply to the actual email and set the alliance leader as the sub if you're busy or something. So you could be on your phone and just reply yes or something, and it set the alliance leader as the sub.
That would be neat.
Little things like that. Uh,
Might not make the alliance leader very happy.
well, you applied for the job, so. We also need to start working on a phone app here soon, so that might
Yes,
be
we do.
something we start tentatively working on during the open betas, and we get to test that all over again.
Yay.
um, which should actually be a bit easier to do a phone app than it is to do a browser game, because browser games you have to worry about people clearing their cache and things like that. And you don't have to worry about that so much on a phone app.
Yeah.
Because it's a
It's
downloadable
all
client. You also don't have to
downloadable.
worry so much about the lag and things like that as well.
Graphics loading. Yeah. That's true.
And you never know, it might be something we outsource and get it done faster. If we outsourced it, we could probably get it done in 3 months.
Yeah, that would be cool.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that we could find somebody to outsource to that could understand the game and stuff like that. Maybe let them in and play for a little bit so that they kind of figure it out.
Yeah.
Understand what the important parts are. Yeah.
But I think that'd be feasible to have somebody do that for us. But then that also bothers me because then I would know how to fix the code without digging in and seeing exactly what they had done.
Right.
I guess I can talk you through it afterwards.
Yeah. Can't do everything.
That's it.
Only most things. So we're coming up on our time limit. If anybody else has any more questions, we can answer them. If not, we will get back to work and call it for the day. I think this is our last stream with the third beta open.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Um,
think so.
I think actually runs pretty well, but actually, yes. Since continents will never be full, we essentially filled every spot on the server, um, which is never really going to happen. So,
Well, it has happened a couple of times in other games. I've been on a couple of worlds where that has happened.
um, yes. Well, the fact that it runs now with the continents open means that if the continents are half full, it'll run twice as fast,
Yep.
3 times as fast. So, a lot of the time it takes for the world map to load is essentially having to load all of the data for all of these different spots. It runs quite well after it loads, it just takes a minute.
We might have servers where we do different things with the continents, right?
Yeah, we might. Um, sky's kind of the limits. Um, I think for the amount of cities and stuff we've got on here, the world map runs really, really well.
Yeah.
Um, but when there's 1/10 of the amount of these cities, or half, it'll run twice as fast. I'd imagine at the beginning of the open beta, this thing will open up like within 10 milliseconds. Just because there won't be that many cities. So the speed of it all depends on how many cities there are to show. And
And
what
once
you're
it's
showing
loaded,
too.
it's fast.
If you're if you turn off the caverns, or if you turn off certain things, it'll load faster. Like as I turn on caverns now, um, there's just so many caverns out there too. You're drawing 3 times as many things to on there, and it still is not bad. I mean, I just did it, and it took what, 3 seconds while I'm streaming and on a Skype call.
Yeah.
I think one of our biggest players uh, who reset recently was saying that the world map works much faster now since he reset. So it might be something to do with like the player's account as well.
Huh. Well, that's something I'll test offline. Is I'll kind of log somebody else's account, see
Yeah.
how it worked with 900 cities.
Yes.
An invisible castle?
Make a ticket of it with the chords, and we'll take a look.
Yeah.
I would like to figure out why it flickers.
Yeah.
It's got to be something with the operating systems or something. So, alright, well, I think we're going to call it for the day. Thank you guys for tuning in for our weekly stream. We should be on next week to talk about things that we've implemented and things that we've done while everybody was off doing something else.
Yeah.
But thank you guys for playing. I hope everybody had fun in this beta. I think it went really well. I think everybody had a good time. I know it was strenuous, and you kind of play this game to have a good time and not have a good time at the same time.
Yeah.
It's kind of a stress and work, as well as fun and enjoyment.
Yeah.
So I hope to see everybody in the live rounds, and next week when we do this again. So thank you guys, and we will talk to you or see you later.
Have a great
Yep.
week.
Thank you, everyone. See you next week.